Hi, everybody. As you can see, I'm still at my friend Ellen's house. We have power now, but we also have construction going on, and so there is so much banging that if I were to try to record at my own house, I'm afraid you wouldn't hear anything I'm saying. This is a much less formal introduction to the course, or more properly to me. And so if you'd like to know a little bit more about who it is at the other end of the computer, this is the place for you. If you're not interested in this kind of personal stuff, just click on. That's fine. Anyway, um, I was featured on one of those EMU banners not too long ago, and so this is my banner pictures. It's relatively recent. Let's move on. Okay. I started teaching in 1973 as a first grade teacher in a very small, very rural school. We had about 500 students, K-12, all in one building. And the first day that I came in to start teaching first grade, someone walked into my classroom and asked me where the teacher was. They thought I was one of the high school students. I did look very young, and I was pretty young. I started teaching at 21, and I taught there, teaching first and second grade for about 10 years. It was a good introduction. It was an interesting place. Very rural children, many more cows than people in our county. Lots of low-income children, but wonderful children with whom to work. I was married in 1974 to my husband Bob, who I met in 7th grade homeroom. Yep, I really did. If you'd like to get a real 1974 note, take a look at Bob's shoes. He is wearing, yes, black and white patent leather 3-inch heels, yes, at 6'3". It was pretty impressive, at least we thought so at the time. I got my PhD at the University of Connecticut. Some of you may be familiar with Joe Renzulli, who is a major researcher and author in the area of gifted and talented education. I studied gifted and talented and creativity there, and creativity is still one of the things that interests me most. Oh, I should say, as I've talked to more and more people about their PhDs, I realize more and more how tremendously fortunate I was to have Joe as my advisor. He is and was a real gem. And please notice my 1980s glasses. I came to EMU immediately after my PhD, thinking I'd be here for 2 or 3 years, absolute tops. Of course, now I'm in year 32, so that tells you how much I knew. Or maybe it's 31. I don't know. I lose track. Anyway, came in as a faculty member. I spent 7 or 8 years as department head, a year as interim dean, and then I went back to faculty. You can see, I always think about this as an example of the balancing act it was to be department head. This was me at one of our faculty retreats. I am, as I said, happily back to faculty. This picture is here because it's what I dream faculty life would be like, but most of the time it's not. You'll hear more about the cats later. That pudgy one at the bottom has lost some weight, which is a good thing. As I said, I'm particularly interested in creativity. I've written a number of things, but the thing I'm probably best known for is this book called Creativity in the Classroom. This is a picture of the 5th edition, and I am now madly working on the 6th edition. And I'll be doing that throughout the time that I spend with you. So if I get a little crazy sometimes, that's probably why. I've also been blogging for the last several years. Yes, believe it or not, I have a blog. You've got the address up here, creativityteach.me, and I write about creativity and classrooms. Sometimes I write twice a week. This semester, probably more like once a week because, frankly, I have to fit it in around doing the book writing. But as I'm doing revisions to the book, it's been useful because I find that the things I've been thinking about in the blog along the way are often the things that need updating in the book. So that's a good thing. Occasionally, I still have time for fun. I make mosaics. The birds at the left were at one point old wooden birds that were in my basement that I covered with glass. I've done, all kinds of things. I did a bench. I've done mirrors. I've done lots of light switches. I'm currently working on a very large piece that will take me more than a year. I'm sure it's maybe something like 10 feet long in three pieces that's going to go up above our sliding glass doors. So that's the biggest thing I do recreationally. But the picture with the puppet was my favorite Christmas present a few years ago. I've been collecting puppets for a number of years because one of my goals when I finally retire is to be the storytelling lady at the library with puppets. I'm still married. After 42 years, we are still married and we still like each other, which is a very wonderful thing. You can see here's my husband, Bob, a lot of years later. We're older and grayer, but still smiling. The pictures are from our 40th anniversary trip to China and Tibet, which was quite a wonderful adventure. We unfortunately were not able to have children, and it made me very sad. But we have had some things that helped to fill that space. One of them is that we started out with cats. The very first cat we had just walked in the door one day. And after he passed away, we ended up with a mom and her two kittens, so we had 3 black cats. And then after a few years, I learned that I have married apparently the Pied Piper of all things cat. Our subsequent cats are all animals who followed him home. This is Nina, who's, as you can see, our little curious girl who will get into absolutely everything. This is Tony, who jumped into Bob's car. 10 o'clock one night, I got a call saying, I've got a cat in the car and he won't get out. That was Tony. And Sasha, who you can see here, is the last one. We currently have 5. One of our original 3 has passed away. The oldest cats are 15 and 16 years old at this point. But Sasha is interesting because she's the peacemaker. When Tony came, the one in the refrigerator, the cat hierarchy was quite disrupted. And I thought, oh my heavens, when Bob brought home another cat, I thought, I can't deal with this. But Sasha came in and made peace. Once Sasha was there, everybody got along. I don't know what she does, but it's pretty amazing. We've also gathered family. This is my friend Melanie, who is a sort of quasi-daughter. You know how there are some people in the world who need some extra family? Well, we're extra family to her, and she's extra family to us. She's a middle school math teacher around DC, and I get to talk to her really frequently. She lived with us for a while, and she's pretty wonderful. And these are my favorite children. I couldn't let not having children stand in the way of having grandchildren, and so I've taken on my dear friend Suzanne's 5 children as my adopted grandchildren. It started with the first one, David, who is now 14 and towers over me, who became bonded to me as a baby, and things have just kind of gone on from there. They used to live in Ann Arbor, then they lived in Ohio, and now they live in Boise, which makes the traveling much more complicated, but totally worth it. And so now we're going on to some new adventures. I hope that this will give you a little bit of an idea of who I am. You're learning a little bit more about who you are in your activity this week, and we will move on together. Thanks.